whether we deploy in a proactive way or in a reactive way. And if you remember my little pyramid, there's both sides to that. First line of defense are the boots on the ground at the bottom of the pyramid. My bobby's on the beat. And it's just like any science. We monitor every day. I monitor water quality in the water holes, elephant impact on trees, the effectiveness of my biological control agents on the alien invasive species here, etc., etc. That's monitoring, and that's like a basic patrol for these guys. Only once they see something outside of the box or a red flag raises, they go into an investigation mode. So my team of technicians monitoring the vegetation and so on will only elevate it to the researchers for further intervention or further investigation if they find something. And it's the same in the law enforcement arena. The Black Mambas will patrol every day. Something's outside of the box, they'll elevate it to the next level. And then you'll see those arrows, you start following those basic processes. They identify if a crime was committed. I mean, we might not like a lot of things that happens here, but if it's not written into the statutes, then it's not a crime. We might not like that guy rides his motorcycle between 8 and 9 every night to go and fetch water at the river, but it's not illegal. So therefore a crime hasn't been committed. If there is a crime, then we find a suspect, we pursue the suspect, we apprehend the suspect, and we prosecute the suspect. And then there's that little peer review process that goes between us and the public prosecutor. Gather further evidence, go back, close the gaps in your statements, and so on. So that to me is like a bit of a peer review process. But the majority of our work are those bullet points down there. Disruption. Saturate the landscape with spotlights. When we sit on an observation post at night, listening for poachers, watching for their torches and their lights, we're not sitting quietly. We've got torches and lights too. And we make such a fuss that those guys think, damn it, man, this place is a bit hot. So of course we're going to place it elsewhere or onto a different crime. But the point is that night is secure. The early detection to us is critical. Got to get out there. We have to know what are the windows that these guys are coming in temporally and spatially. And then, of course, rapid response to deal with it. High visibility, preventative, everything's preventative, and local knowledge is so critical. If the one team will call out, like last night, oh, there's a suspicious light over there. Then the other team says, no, that's fine. It's the campfire safaris. They're doing a night walk around their tents. Don't worry about it. That's local knowledge. Don't waste resources. Here is some interesting anecdotal stuff, what I like to call situational awareness. The landscape is compromised one way or the other. If you look at that map right at the top there, when I came here and they said, could you take over the wildlife security? I said, what am I taking over? How big is the landscape? Where are the risk areas? Where's the public interface? What's going on here? And I didn't know, and neither did they. You guys are in a very fortunate position that you have all this information fingertips already, and your rangers have been deployed for many years. But for us, it was the first time ever. When I came here, we were like easy. He rode on a bicycle, and he had a knopkierie, which is a stick with a big knob on the end, and that was it over the walkie-talkie. That was just line of sight. There was no repeater station or anything up for him. And that was our entire wildlife security investment when I arrived here. And we found these poachers actually been living in the reserve. They'd been living for so long in the reserve that the ash pits were up to your knees. That's how long they'd been here. The poor old Derek had no chance of keeping it together on his own. But anyway, so we mapped the risk. How do we do that? We just put people on the ground. These black mambas came in. I had 6 to start off with as a demonstration, and then we placed them in these picket sites. If you look at the map on the right-hand side, dotted all over the landscape, because we thought that's where you're going to be able to respond fast, and you're going to be detecting gunshots and la la la. And then we worked out, hang on a minute, all the little red stars, I don't know if you can see well, are the causes of the rhinos, and the chances of us hearing a shot is over a 500-meter radius. Those circles of 500-meter radius, right? It is almost impossible. So even if you're sitting in your picket with your big ears on, you're still not going to hear the poacher shoot. So then we reshuffled the pickets around. So that's what I mean about situational awareness. And you have to go out there and test. You have to say, under controlled conditions, I can hear a silenced 458 rifle or a 762 rifle, whatever, at this distance. Now, that's under controlled conditions. Now, let's go into test it on a windy night, an undulating landscape. Driving in a vehicle, the chances of detecting a gunshot are almost nil. And it's probably because I drive ancient Land Rovers and they rattle a lot. And you never know if it's the car that's shot a piston or whether it's somebody that's shot at you. But anyway, love my Land Rovers. So, so this is just an example. And then the key is to track the guys, you know. So I could see where my people had walked in the daytime. So I knew what my coverage of the landscape was. If you look at that map on the far left-hand bottom corner, the bottom on the left-hand side there, that was the coverage that I was getting. So there were these huge gaps. And guess who's going to figure that out very fast? To the poacher. So that's probably where they're going to go and hide because they'll remain undetected. So on and so on. You can see the bottom right-hand one is where my assets were actually hanging out. So that's where the rhinos were. And then when I overlaid the two together, I suddenly realized why the black mambas are patrolling in that pattern is because they're sitting on the rhinos. They're babysitting the rhinos. If you juxtapose those or you superimpose those two maps together, two bottom ones, you'll see that the mambas actually knew more than I did. They are covering the area where the assets were. They were literally sitting in their vehicle at nighttime with spotlights around these little crashes of rhinos babysitting them. I ended up buying them a portable DVD player so they could watch movies. Does that three-tiered model work? Does that deployment strategy work? These are three. I've blanked off the names of the identities because I don't have their permission to use this data for this purpose. This was published in the Interpol newsletter a few years ago. And what's interesting is my region is the red. These are three contiguous regions in the greater Kruger Park. We're all aligned from east to west. I just took a straight line across, and the number of incursions and losses over that reporting time clearly showed that our model worked. By all rights, I hit first because I'm on the western boundary. And my density of rhinos and what have you is quite comparable. Thank you very much. You know, it's the first thing most people say is, oh, it's probably because you don't have any rhinos on your landscape. It's not true. You know, so the disruption model, the proactive model paid off big time. My neighbor that has all the resources for paramilitary anti-poaching lost 3-1, man. It was horrendous. Anyway, so sad for these beasties. Eh? Okay. Wildlife crime prevention. This is, you know, we just decided we wanted to make the reserves the most undesirable and risky area to poach. But how can I one day retire if the next warden that comes in has to employ bigger guns and build bigger fences and spend more and more money on helicopters and so on, unless I develop a patriotic community? When I say patriotism, I mean patriotic towards the park, the protected area landscape. And yeah, we've mobilized the communities. They see the values and the benefits. That's just some of the activities that the Mambas are up to all the time. They're excellent at detecting snares, let me tell you. It's a treasure hunt for these ladies. It's amazing. The detection rate is 35% higher than the guys that go out there with their guns, because I think the guys with the guns are hoping to find something to shoot. I don't know. It's all about crime prevention. We actually call them the crime prevention unit. This is